all the good stuff for your junk journal. For my first journaling card, I'm using a few scrap pieces of paper. This is double-sided scrapbooking paper, which I don't really love, so I'm going to recycle it for a journaling card, and I'm just going to start gluing them together. And I'm not really worried whether my glue will hold it all together, because I want to go ahead and pass them through my sewing machine just to make everything nice and secure. And because I haven't had the best of luck with glues, and I really haven't found anything that would nicely bind heavier paper like this one, which is also embossed, it's textured, so I've always had trouble, you know, sticking paper like that. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue down, and then I will know that I'll pass it through my sewing machine and I don't need to worry about it falling apart. So this journaling card will look something like that, but I will be back on to show you what it all looks like when it's stitched on. My next piece of ephemera is going to be a tag. I've got some scrapbooking paper here, and I also have this vintage label. It's a digital download that I've printed onto paper basically and cut out, so I'm going to use that element to decorate my tag here. And once again, I am using the same kind of glue, which is already giving me trouble. But as I said, I'm going to pass it all through my sewing machine, so it's just really placing them where they need to be, and then I'll worry about them being nicely stuck together later. There we go. And I've got this little window here, and something that is on the page could peek through. I don't yet know what these will end up being in my junk journal. They might be tags, they might be journaling cards, or belts, or just for decoration. So I'll just go ahead and assemble a little collage here and there and see where that takes me. For this little one, I really love this illustration of a rose, and I want to use it as the centerpiece. And I was thinking, because of the size this is, it reminds me of a postage envelope, but it's not an envelope, and it's just a page from a book. So I want to create an envelope, and I was thinking, if I glue this here and attach it to this piece of paper, then that would give me a pocket. And if I cut this side in the right way, that could mimic the envelope look. So let me have a go at that. I'm going to go ahead and put a bit of glue on this end. I don't mind the ruffled edge over here where I tore the page off the book, so I'm going to keep that. I have this envelope here, which I'm going to use as a template, and I'm going to try and trace this bit here, so when it flips closed, it will make sense for an envelope. There we go. So when I fold that bit, I should have a nice little envelope, and there it is. Let me just grab my bone folder here and encourage this crease. Now this way it completely covers the beautiful illustration, but I'm actually going to use this as a flap, I think. So this bit will be glued onto one page and this will open, and here we'll have a pocket. So that's a general idea about this, but let's see what it ends up being in my journal. I want to decorate the bottom here a little bit more, so I'll just add some sheet music paper and I will just roughly tear it. I don't mind measuring and being precise, but in this case I think I'm fine with this one and how it looks. Perhaps I'll tear a little bit off this end as well. And let me just glue that on top. There we go. And what's an envelope without a postage stamp? I am adding this postage stamp over here, and that looks more complete to me. I also have got this strip of scrapbooking paper. Is that too much here? Oh, I think I'm going to add that anyway. So let me measure roughly where this should go. Right about here seems fine. I'll put some glue and there we go. So this is the envelope slash journaling card slash flap completed. Moving on to the next one, I've got this piece of scrapbooking paper and a card with beautiful floral print. It's not an illustration, but I just love how this looks, so I thought I must use it in one of my junk journals. So I had in mind to add a bit of a decorative edge to this tag. This is what it looks like, and then if we add this here and only glue the sides, it will turn into a pocket, something like that. And if it goes right about here, yeah, I think that looks right. And I've got this little scrap piece of fabric that I think will look cute over there. So let me add a bit more glue. And attach them together. Here we go. This is what the journaling card would look like. It's also a pocket, and on the back it works as a journaling card, so we're all good with this one. For my next piece of ephemera, I am using some music sheet paper, and this is another vintage label. It's a digital download once again. So I thought if I use this music paper, let me cut it down to size because it is a little bit long. If I use this music paper and then added a little pocket on the side, then a journaling card could go inside, something like that. So because I already trimmed the music sheet paper, let me just trim my beautiful flower printed paper, and I'm going to glue just the sides, the long side here and the bottom side, leaving this pocket open so that things can be tucked inside. And to make things a little bit more rounded, corners, I'm going to use a corner punch, and this corner punch sometimes lets me down. Oh, but not this time, it worked first time around. I'm impressed. Well, not so much, but let me just help this end and trim it. There we go. So that is another beautiful journaling card finished. My next ephemera piece is going to be a tag. I am using this piece of double-sided scrapbooking paper, and actually you can still use this as a journaling card because the back allows for adding your own writing. But I'm going to call it a tag for now, and if it turns out to be a journaling card, we don't mind at all, that is still fine. So let me glue this oh, there we go. Let me glue this piece on. I don't know what's wrong with this glue. Is it running out? I don't know. If I glue it right about here, then I've got this little chipboard which I thought would make a lovely tub. Or maybe this, or maybe this way. Maybe this way is best. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this way. So a bit more glue. On it goes. And maybe round the corners to this one as well, perhaps the upper corners. Let's do upper corners only. Yeah, that looks fine. For this next one, I want this to be a tab, which is also a pocket. So I want to do something like that. So if this is a pocket, and then something goes inside, and then on the back, I'd like to put a bit of a botanical illustration. I sometimes love to trace them using pens, so this is something I might want to do. I might not, I don't know, but first of all, let me start off by attaching the front and the back pieces together. Again, I'm doing it roughly because this is going to go through my sewing machine. I don't need to worry about glue because I'm telling you now from the onset, I know glue will let me down, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I won't glue this on the sides because then it will be too narrow for my card to go in. So I'm just going to glue it on the bottom, and then later when I add the stitching, I will stitch the sides. That will give me a thinner stitch here, and the card can still go in. So this is what it looks like, and here on the top I have marked once again this lovely design element, which I don't know what it's called, and I'm just going to cut it out. Now that I have glued the two pieces together, the back piece and the front piece together, I will only need to do this once, and it will take effect on both sides, so that is great. And this is what this tag is looking like. My next piece of ephemera is a bit larger, and what I actually want to do with this is I want to turn it into a really big pocket on a page. So I'm going to leave this as a pocket or maybe a tuck spot. So if I only close the left hand side and the bottom, that will turn into a tuck spot. I think we're officially out of this glue. All right, and then if I add this on here and turn it into a tab, but perhaps let's round the corners first. This is some thicker paper. And actually, this doesn't seem to struggle with thick paper. I think it struggles with thinner paper. So if this goes on here, and I'm using my other glue, because as I said, I've got no luck with glue, and the other one had to finish while I'm filming. There we go. And this can then turn into a giant pocket on a page. Next up is another journaling card, and I'm going to use this piece of scrapbooking paper, and I want to add this cut out here as a pocket. So I'm going to add a bit of glue just on the bottom here, like so, and that is going to be a pocket, something like that. And this little bit here I'd like to turn into a tab. How big does this need to be? Let's say this big. And let's round some corners once again. I'll use the smaller one this time. Like that. I'll just put on here. I'm adding just a little bit of glue because this one is supposed to be better than my other one. So there we go. That is our journaling card, which is also a pocket. Next up, I'd like to have another pocket, which is also a journaling card. And I've got here a paint swatch, which is really nice, thick cardstock. And I am going to use this for the base of a mock polaroid. So adding this little illustration here, and if I glue them together, then this could become a pocket. Yeah, I'm not measuring anything precisely. I don't really care too much whether things are lined up perfectly. It's handmade art after all, so it can be messy. It's allowed to be messy. So this is now a pocket, and a long and thin tag can go inside. Moving on to another tag or journaling card. I want this to be a longer one, and I thought if I added this piece of scrapbooking paper at the bottom, that could be a pocket for tags. And this is another paint swatch that is this nice, really nice cardstock, and I just thought if I cut it to size a few times, I could make tags out of it. I can only use the front part because the back has got some advertising, but that's alright. I can always stick them on some coffee stain paper, and that would be journaling space as well. So let me just add some glue. I will only add the glue to the bottom once again, and then when I stitch, that will enclose the pocket. And for now, it will look something like that. But let me also trim this down a little bit because it's coming a bit too long. There we go. I think that works. Let me just round the corners of this one. There we are. This next one is going to be just a pretty tab. I've got this beautiful playing card with a rose illustration on, and this is a sticker actually. I haven't used these stickers before. I hope this works. I thought if I stick this here and then form a loop right here and stick it together, that will fold nicely and it will look something like that. And I'm actually going to round the corners here once again. Oh no, that won't be long enough. So let me just trim a little bit like that. And there we go. And another rounded edge here. I'm I'm struggling a little bit with the scissors, but I hope it's worth it. Yeah. So there we have it. Moving on to another journaling pocket, I want to say. So this is some of that dyed paper that I used for my envelope, and I thought if I put this postcard back on it and leave this as a pocket, that would be a nice long pocket. And then I've got this beautiful piece of a book jacket that I could put here, and that makes a beautiful collage in my opinion. I think I can even make a flap of this. Do I want to make a flap of it? Let's see, let me first glue this, just so if this is going to go this way, let me just glue the sides. Just a few glue dots, that would be enough to keep it in place until I stitch. So if this goes on here, and then let's say if I cut a diagonal line here, this could fold over and be a nice little flap. Why not? I'll think about it, and if I don't like it, I can always cut it off. So I'm going to add this bit here as well, and that is also going to be a little pocket. There we go. That works out great. So that is another journaling card slash pocket slash tag with a flap. For my last journaling card, what I want to do is, I've got this leftover from a chipboard. I've punched the chipboard away, and we're left with this little border, which I really love actually. So I thought if this could go on top, that would make a really pretty decoration. So I'm going to add this using some glue, just like that. So this goes on top. And I've got this little butterfly postcard. I thought that matches, there we go, that matches this little color scheme we've got going on here, so I'm going to add that on top as well. Right over there. And there we have it, another journaling card. So let me show you now what the journaling tags and cards look like after I have added some stitching. The stitching I added is sometimes functional and sometimes purely for decorative purposes, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So this first journaling card is actually a pocket as well. It's an envelope I created using this botanical illustration and a bit of stained paper that I stained myself with some watercolor, with some liquid watercolor in pink. And that's how I got this color. And then I added the stamp and a few decorations at the bottom, and this is my red stitching here, which is a decorative stitch. This is still a pocket here, you can tuck stuff inside. And I had an idea to use it as a flip out in my journal, but let's see what it comes out to be. The next one is this little side pocket, so it's quite simple actually. You've got something to tuck into this belt here, and I've added the stitching to the sides in contrasting red. I think it really looks pretty, especially against the music sheet. It's a beautiful combination between red and black according to me. Next up, it is this postcard back that I collaged with some different elements, and on the back once again I've got that stained paper in pink, and this is also a pocket, so something goes inside. And this is where the stitching to the sides comes really handy, because you know that you won't be betrayed by the glue you used, and these sides, they're not coming apart at all, so you can stuff them with as many hidden messages as you like and they're still good to go. Next up is this little journaling card, and you can journal on the back. You can see my messy stitching on the back. This time I've used blue as a contrasting color thread, and you can put something inside here. It's also a little pocket. Next up is another pocket, which is also a tag. I've added the red stitching to the side, you can see here, and I can rest assured that this pocket is not coming apart. Next up is another tag, which is also, well, is it a journaling card? Can you journal on this pattern? Well, at least it's a tag. I've added some blue thread here to keep the elements together on the top and the bottom, and I use different type stitching. And here we've got this little window, so if something is behind it, it can peek through. I love that effect. Next up is another journaling card. I don't remember whether I intended this to be a pocket in the first place, but I ended up gluing it down and then just added this decorative red stitching on the side. It's already got the beautiful shape to it to give it a decorative feel. So that is what this journaling card looks like. Next up, another tag. You can journal on the back, and it's not a pocket this time, I know, but I feel this is a nice tag to journal on. This one is a pocket. This print here is a very nice sturdy cardstock, so I couldn't not use it. It's a bit tight, this pocket, so perhaps something thinner and longer should go inside, but it doubles up as a journaling card, and it's got the blue decorative stitching. I love how this one turned out. It's quite eclectic with the many patterns going on, but I still love it. Next up is another pocket, and I had quite a few goes. If you can see all the holes here, I've left from trying to stitch it and then ripping the thread apart. I actually think this one could do with a little tab to cover the war wounds it suffered. Let me just add something here really quickly, just like that. There we go. Yeah, so that will be the finished tag. Moving on to this little one, I really love how this border frames the little stamp, the butterfly stamp, and this writing here. This script page is actually a digital download that I have printed onto coffee stain paper. That's a nice way to mimic the vintage look and feel of a piece of paper. And then on the back we have got this decorative stitching and also a little pocket. Something can go inside there. I've got this little card which is more like a tab. I don't think you can journal on the back. I just love how this combination looks, so I'm going to probably pop it in a belt or something like that. Next up is this little journaling card. It's got a tag. You can still journal here if you wish, because it's pretty plain, and you've got the sides to journal on, and the back is just the back of the double-sided scrapbooking paper that I used to make this tag. But still, I'm thinking, do I want to round the corners here? Yeah, I think I want to do that, so bear with me. This corner punch has not been the best. Maybe just one side. Yeah, I'll just round one corner. There we go. That's what it looks like. And this is my biggest journaling card and pocket. Actually, I want to turn it into a pocket, so I want this to go onto a big page, and I'll stitch the side, I'll glue the sides only, and that will be a big pocket for envelopes or cards. But at the same time, I've got this tuck spot here. I can fit quite a few things in here. It's a big one. So yeah, that is what they all look like. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I've got a lot more junk journaling videos coming up, so stay tuned if you're into it. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you in my next one.